There's one simple framework that forms the core functionality of Claude Code, Codex, Openclaw, and every other AI agent that you've ever heard of. It's called the ReAct framework. And once you understand it, agents will never be an enigma for you again. Okay, so here's how it works. Right? You start with a question. And so that question is then going to go to our agent. Okay? So then our agent, we're going to put our agent in this box right here. So our agent follows the ReAct framework. And so what it does is it reasons first, hence the RE in ReAct. The reasoning is just an LLM call. The LLM call takes the query, reasons over it, and then it has a bunch of tools at its disposal. So that goes to an action. An action could be searching the internet. It could be doing a tool call. It could be writing code and executing code. So an action can be a lot of different things. And this is actually, the action part is where a lot of the magic happens with agents and agent engineering. So it reasons, it acts, so it performs an action, and then it evaluates, right? So after it performs the action, it evaluates, and this is where you get into the loop. So the reason that agents work so well and they're so resilient is because with the ReAct framework, they will then evaluate via another LLM call what they did. And then they'll make a decision. Basically, is the query fulfilled? Did we fulfill what the human wanted us to do? And then, if it didn't, if the answer is no, then it will do one of these, and it'll go back to that step right here, right? And then it'll keep doing this loop right here. This is the ReAct loop, or like the while loop that a lot of these agents go through. So it goes from reason, action, evaluates, and if it's not sufficient, which usually after the first iteration it's not, it will go back and perform another action and reason again. And it'll keep doing that until it evaluates and decides, you know what, this is good enough. And so it's going to say yes, and it's going to output result, and that is the end of the loop. So that's it. That is all that the ReAct framework is. It's really just you send a question to the agent or a query, or you tell it to do something, and the agent in this box reasons, performs an action via a tool call, evaluates, and then with the evaluation decides what to do. So now you understand what the ReAct framework is. But do you want to hear something crazy? Claude Chat and ChatGPT are ReAct agents. Don't believe me? Let's go check them out right now. Here I am in Claude. I have it on max thinking because we want it to use reasoning tokens. And so here I'm going to ask it, explain to me how the ReAct agent framework works. Cite your sources. And so, spoiler alert, the tool call that this LLM is going to make is going to be searching the internet. Watch. Here, searching the web. You see? So that's a tool call. All right, and there it goes. So what just happened there? It happened in like 2 seconds. But let's go back to our draw. So it took our question, it reasoned, and because we said cite your sources, that encourages it to do a search. And so it did a search, evaluated, it reasoned and formulated an answer, and then it gave us our output. So you can see how we just saw that happen in real time in Claude Chat. And this is what it searched. So it cited its sources. Now this is very cute in the Claude Chat, but as simple as this framework is, it actually ends up being very powerful. So let's talk about some of the different variations of ReAct. Now you might be thinking, oh, it can't be that simple. I mean, Codex is so complicated, like, Openclaw is so complicated. Actually, it really is that simple. The thing is, this is where the complexity actually comes from, is the action part and the tool calling. So the way that they increase complexity and capability of agents is they actually just give it more tools. So for example, Claude Code is a coding agent. And so one of the tool calls or the actions is writing code. The same with Codex and Pi, the open source agent, and all the other agents you've heard of. These are agents that are a type of ReAct framework called Codex. That basically just means it's a ReAct agent that can do all of these things, and it can also read, write, and execute code. That's it. You also might have seen that Claude Code and Codex, they can spin out sub-agents, right? Surely that's not part of the ReAct framework. Well, actually it is, because subagents are actually part of this. They're a tool call again. It can spin up an agent as a tool call. But what about Openclaw? Surely that can't be a React agent as well, right? Let's say you have Openclaw creating a calendar event for you in Calendar. Well, it does that using the Google Calendar, CLI. And what is that? That is another tool call. So the React framework is still how Openclaw works. And actually, Openclaw is really a wrapper that gives more tools to another React agent, which is the open source agent called Pi. So yes, Openclaw is a React agent. Claude Code, Codex, all the other coding agents are React agents. And any interaction with Google Calendar, Gmail, Telegram, WhatsApp, or anything else that Openclaw interacts with is another tool call. So this is the fundamental reasoning behind any AI agent you come across. So the next time anybody mentions an AI agent that they've created, or you're using an AI agent and you can't see anything under the hood, just know that the basic framework is the React framework right here, right? It doesn't have that many steps. And at the fundamental level, it's not that complex. Are there a million different variations of it? Yes, absolutely there are. And each variation can affect how it behaves. Openclaw is not the same as Claude Code because it can interact with a whole lot of different tools. Claude Code is not the same as a LangGraph agent. It's not the same as a Copilot agent. And it's not the same as Claude Chat or GPT Chat or Gemini Chat. Even though they all follow the React framework, they have different tools that they can call upon. I hope this cleared things up if you're somebody who heard about AI agents and had used maybe some AI agents and didn't really understand how they worked. Because the React framework is really just how all the agents work. And it is a pretty simple conceptual framework, but it works especially well. And it's really important to understand the React framework because it's just used everywhere now. It's used in chats, it's used in any agent that you've ever come across, whether it's a coding agent, a general purpose agent, or domain-specific agents. And even though it's simple, it just works so much better than a single LLM call. So in closing, the React framework consists of the LLM reasoning, making a tool call, evaluating, and then forming a loop where it continuously reasons, acts, and then evaluates. And then once it deems that the work is completed, it then finishes. It's a very simple framework, but it underlies the processes of all the agents you interact with. So the next time you see an agent, just remember, it isn't magic. In some way, shape, or form, it's simply following that React agent loop.